You walk in to tour a senior living community, feeling really prepared. You scheduled an appointment so you can get all your questions answered. And speaking of questions, you've read up on all the important ones to ask. You've got your notebook. You've been helping your dad for months, so you know exactly what he needs. But do you? I'm your host, Valerie Lynn, and in this episode, we're looking closely at the nurse assessment and what to do if you disagree with it.
Welcome to Desperately Seeking Senior Living, a podcast for sons, daughters, grandkids, and spouses who suddenly find themselves tangled in the search for senior living and care. If you like today's episode, don't forget to subscribe and check out our doable download in today's show notes
For a printable summary of the show and a bonus tip. You're listening to our doable tips, short answers to your questions. Don't see your question listed? Send us a note. Then don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an answer. Hi, and welcome to the show. Last week, we talked about the cost of care and how it's determined by an assessment. So, what happens if the community wants to charge an amount that you don't agree with? I worked with a family recently that didn't think their dad was that bad. He took his medications when they called and reminded him. Other than that, he was managing them on his own. They didn't think he was showering, but they were sure that when he did everything on his own. So when it came time for the nurse assessment, they were shocked at the cost of care. If this sounds familiar, you are not alone. I always say that you know your loved one best, and that's true. But when it comes to the nurse assessment, the community is balancing regulations and liabilities. Yes, they're providing care, but they are also a company that is subject to annual inspection and protecting their license as well as the caregivers and other residents. There are so many variables to consider. When a community does an assessment, they're going to meet with you and your loved one. They'll ask many questions from medical history to family history to preferences like favorite foods. They'll conduct a cognitive test and they'll get your loved ones and your input as to the care that they want to receive. Things like help showering. They'll also request and review your loved one's most recent doctor's notes from their physician. And I'll put a link in show notes to our episode that really dives deep into exactly what the nurse assessment's going to look like. And once all of this is complete, they input the information into a computer program, which gives them the cost of care. So let's take a closer look at this family's story that I mentioned. What are some of the concerns a community might have? The family is reminding their dad to take his medications. So, most likely, he's going to need what's called medication management. And this cost is based on how many medications, how many times a day, and if there are any specialty medications such as eye drops or narcotics. Secondly, if he's not showering, why not? Is he just needing a reminder? Is he afraid of falling? Is the shower that he currently has fully accessible, or is he having to step over a tub? And if you're not helping your dad shower, how can you know he's remembering all the steps? And if he's needing these reminders, what other things is he forgetting? Will he remember to go to the dining room for dinner? Will he remember how to get to the dining room from his apartment? So you can start to see that the community is going to be looking at your loved one through their eyes of experience, their building, their staff, their ability to provide the care and make sure that your mom or dad or grandma is safe. Okay, so that's all great. But what if you still disagree with the assessment? Well, I recommend requesting a copy of the care plan in advance. The care plan is what's produced after the assessment. It's basically the roadmap to your loved one's care. And this will give you plenty of time to go through the entire document because it's going to be a big document. And on a side note, be sure to review the care plan for any mistakes, such as preferences and even your contact information. Mistakes do happen. So, back to the care. Review the care and make note of any questions you have. Then, when you do meet with the nurse to review the care plan, which, by the way, should be a part of the community's normal process, ask those questions. You may disagree with something, but after further discussion, understand where the community is coming from. Let's take those medications, for example. You might disagree with the cost they're charging for medication management, not realizing that one of the medications is a narcotic, falling under special consideration with the state, meaning more training for the staff and more documenting, which equals time. And remember, time equals money. Finally, keep in mind that the care plan is a snapshot. It's based on an hour or 2 hours of a meeting, a list of standard questions, and your mom or dad's preferences. It's not based on providing the actual care because that care hasn't started yet. So it's important to keep in mind that care and care costs can fluctuate. And in fact, most states, if not all, require a follow up assessment within the first 30 days for this exact reason. After actually providing the care, the community will make any necessary changes. Your dad may adjust so well to the community that he no longer needs meal reminders, or your mom may need more help than anyone anticipated. I worked with a family whose dad had Alzheimer's. He had been living alone in his own home, and everyone agreed to let him try regular assisted living. So he did. And within the first 30 days, he attempted to climb the community's retaining wall and got stuck. They had to call 911, and he was soon after moved to memory care. Most often, care plan or assessment disagreements come down to cost. And of course they do. You're tasked with making sure your mom or dad has enough money for their care for life. And communities do make mistakes. And you should question when you feel something is wrong. And the community you choose should be happy to answer your questions and explain their care. Because the most important thing is that your loved one gets the care they need and want.
Today's episode is brought to you by ClearPath Senior Living Solutions. ClearPath helps families find assisted living, memory care, and other resources. Find our contact information in today's show notes. Check out this episode's doable download in show notes for details, including industry terms and definitions we discussed, as well as a bonus tip from our guest. Have questions or your own tips to share? Leave us a message. We'd love to hear from you. And until next time, make it doable.